the intersection of yesterday and today. It's a good place to stand back and notice just how slow going the journey has been toward economic justice.
We still struggle to this day to get the government to do what they're supposed to do.
Kevin Felder is the president of the Dallas chapter of the NAACP and a former Dallas council member. He's one of many people demanding change after our recent investigation, which found some banks deny service to minority and low-income communities below I-30 in Dallas.
I believe that this is going to be a starter of a conversation that is long overdue.
Here's a recap of what we found. Above I-30, there's a high concentration of white people in upper-income neighborhoods. South of 30 is mostly Black and Hispanic people, with 38% of residents living below the poverty line. Under a law called the Community Reinvestment Act, or the CRA, banks are supposed to meet the credit needs of the entire community. So we asked every bank in Dallas County, 105 of them, to provide us with their service area maps, the area where they do business. What we found is 20% of banks in Dallas County draw maps that exclude all or parts of southern Dallas. For example, Interbank serves all of Ellis County, Erath, Somervell, Hood, Parker, and Tarrant counties, but only half of Dallas County. Interbank declined multiple requests for a comment, but in its most recent bank examination, regulators said no evidence of discrimination was identified. And when it comes to bank regulators, we found 98% of the time they give local banks a passing grade for how well they serve the needs of low to moderate income communities. So, back to Felder. What does he want?
I'm calling for a congressional hearing here in the city of Dallas to put a spotlight on lending institutions that do not lend south of I-30 the way that the CRA was intended. But it has to be more than a conversation. There has to be some outcomes. There has to be deliverables. There have to be metrics.
Who would be at the table? Bank executives, federal bank regulators, community and business leaders, city leaders, and at the head, members of Congress.
Any kind of effort that I could be a part of to help that come about, I'm ready and willing.
Democratic Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson represents most of southern Dallas, and she told me early next year she will hold hearings with the intent of improving the flow of credit to southern Dallas.
Financial institutions are in the business to make money. I understand that. But also, it should be something within their goals for fairness and justice for people who are not wealthy.
Representative Mark Vesey, also a Democrat, represents West Dallas and parts of southern Dallas. He says he'll join the effort and writes, "I look forward to working with community leaders and lenders across our region to find solutions to improve access to credit. Financial regulators must work more closely with banks to certify that they are serving low-income and minority communities." And Democratic Representative Colin Allred, whose district is all above I-30, says he's in too. He writes, "I support my colleague, Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson's efforts to work with stakeholders to improve access to banking in South Dallas. The long, painful history of redlining and discrimination requires us to work together."
You guys have lit the fuse. Now let's continue with this story until the end.
In Dallas, I'm David Schechter reporting.